Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time that you're watching this video. Well, I've come through to share something once more again from functions. So basically, we're going to look at the domain and the range. That's our focus today. We're going to look at the difference between the domain and the range, and I'm going to give maybe two examples on how to find the domain for a given function. Okay? And how you can, Then also, I'm going to differentiate between the domain and the range. But before that, I'm going to throw a question that I'm just going to solve for you to just refresh your mind if in class you covered the functions. Okay? Just to make sure that I bring you back. But before that, I have an important message that I just want to put across. Today being the 11th of August, and tomorrow people will be voting. We're going to vote tomorrow. Just a word of advice for school-going people, or those starting from whether you're in grade 7 up to grade 12, especially those who will be participating in voting. I encourage you that when you go there just to vote and go back home. You might never know what comes next. You just can't trust people as you trust God. As human beings, there's always room for mistakes. Only God cannot make a mistake, and only God is the one whose veracity, that means is truthful in all his ways, and he's the one that we can trust. But when it comes to human beings, you never know what comes next or what happens. So for the sake of you being safe, life matters most. Life is what is important. Therefore, it's important that after you do that, you go back home, be home, so that life goes on, school goes on. You still have a future to take care of. Okay, that was my word of advice. It's your right to vote. I'm not stopping you from doing that. Do so. I'm going to vote also tomorrow. And also the other thing, whether you are PF, whether you are UPND, whichever party you're going to vote for, we are not enemies. These are just elections, a way in which we choose our leaders. We exercise the power that we have in putting someone in power so that they can lead us. That does not mean we have to kill each other or we have to be enemies for each other. Whichever party you're going to vote for is still my friend. We talk. I don't care which party you vote for. I've got many friends that have different views from my views. We are still friends. It doesn't change anything. Okay. Well, before I go, as I've said, let me throw something right there to just trigger your mind and to bring you back to the topic in the world of mathematics. Whatever we do in this life, there is mathematics. Mathematics is in every aspect of life. So that's the reason why it is important for us to be able to do some mathematics. I'm a biologist, but I'm here solving mathematics because it is the world of mathematics. Okay? Next time, don't be surprised when you see me sharing on biology. That's my field. Geography, that's my field. Okay? All right. Let me just throw this in you. F of x. Okay, f of x equals x squared plus x minus 1. Okay? So that's f of x. So, let's say if f of x is equal to 5. Okay? Find the values. Find the values of f of x. Oh, find the values of x, not f of x. Find the values of x. All right. If a question comes like that, what do? I'm just trying to trigger your mind. If you did functions in class, then this should be something that you're able to do. Okay. Well, they told me that f of x is equal to x squared plus x minus 1. Then they say f of x is equal to 5. Okay, what are they saying? Just here, what are they telling me? They told me that f of x is equal to this. So what I'm going to do is f of x plus x minus 1. Okay? They told me that this, which f of x is equal to this. So they tell me that this is equal to 5. Okay? So once I bring it to this point, then what I'm going to do is x is equal to x squared plus x minus 1. I'm going to make this 5 to cross on the other side of the equal sign. So it's going to be minus 6. Whenever a number crosses the equal sign, it changes the sign. If it was negative 5, it was going to be positive 5. If it's positive 5, like in this case, when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes negative 5. So it's going to be negative 5 here. Negative 5 equals to 0. You see that? All right. So x squared plus x minus 1, minus 1 minus 6, it becomes minus 6. Minus 1 minus 5 becomes minus 6. Okay? So we are going in the negatives. That becomes x squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. This becomes a quadratic function. This becomes a quadratic equation. Okay, a quadratic equation. So now we're going to solve this quadratic equation. All we do is P, we find the product, and S, we find the sum. Then we're going to find the factors. We're going to find the factors. Okay, how are we going to deal with this? What is the product here? Negative 6, which is the constant in this equation, is the product. And the sum is the coefficient of x here. The coefficient of x is the sum, so which is 1. The coefficient of x is 1, but we don't say 1x. We don't put 1 there. In mathematics, it is prohibited to do that. You're not supposed to do that, okay? So then, what are the factors? Factors, we are looking at two numbers where when we multiply them on the P product, they should give us negative 6. And when we add them on the sum, they should give us 1. What are those two numbers? You're going to find that it is negative 2 and 3. Negative 2, 3 are the factors. If you do negative 2 plus 3, it's going to give you 1, which is the sum. The answer you get after adding is called the sum. And the answer you get after multiplying is called the product. So when we do negative 2 times 3, we're going to get negative 6. See that? So these are our factors. When we have found these factors, we're going to substitute them in the variable, on the variable of x here. Okay? On the variable of x here. We're going to substitute them here. Okay? Now, we're going to substitute x with the factors. Okay, so how is this going to be? You're still wondering. What are we going to do? X squared. Okay, where there's x here, I'm going to put minus 2x, this one, plus positive 3, 3x. Then I'm going to go to 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. Have you seen that? Well, simple and straightforward. Okay, so we're going to factorize this. We're going to work it out and put it nicely so that it looks good. Huh? So what is common here is x. Okay, x into x. This was x squared. X into x will remain with x. 1x is cancelled. Minus x into 2x will remain with what? X into x will going to remain with 2. Okay. So we just factored x. We made with, if you multiply this back, it's going to give you this again. Okay, plus what is common here is 3. Okay, 3 into 3x will remain with x here minus, okay, 3 into 6, it's 2. See that? Equals to 0. Okay, when we reach at this point now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? When we reach at this point now, these which are outside, we put them in brackets together. We say x is outside plus 3 this side is outside. We maintain the sign, okay? The sign before 3 is plus, so I maintain it even here, x plus 3. Then what is in the brackets is x minus 2. They're all similar, so you just write them once, x minus 2 equals to 0. So that means what are the values of x? Now these open bracket x plus 3 close bracket, open bracket x minus 2 close bracket, they are equated to 0. So I'm going to get each one of them is equated to 0. X plus 3 equal to 0. See that? This one gives me x is equal to 3 crosses the equal sign negative 3. Okay? So this is one value of x there. The other one, I'm going to get this one again, which is x minus 2 is equal to 0. I equate it to 0 because they're all equated to 0. So I'm going to get this x equals to this one, and when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes 2. Therefore, the values of x is equal to negative 3, 2. See that? Have you seen that? So the two values of x which have the image are these. Okay? They have the image. So these values they produce. So now, in other words, we say f of x equal to 5. Okay? F of x, we equated this equation to 5 and we got these answers. So if we insert these answers which we got, negative 3 and 2, into the equation, wherever there is x, if we get negative 3 and put it, we're going to get 5. If we get 2, we insert it there, we're going to get 5. So 5 is the image, okay? 5 is the image. Okay, so negative 3 and 2, they have the image which is 5. Okay, now there becomes my introduction nicely. Okay, so these, I'm going to call them the inputs. Because if I put them in this equation, in this function, okay, if I get negative 3, I put it in this function, they're going to give me, it's going to give me 5. You can try that on your own. Just get x squared plus x minus 1, okay, equals to 5. Then, x squared plus x minus 1, okay? Then put where there's x, wherever there's x, put negative 3. You're going to get 5. Your answer is going to be 5. Are you getting that? So, this is my input. If I put it here, okay, if I say f negative 3, f negative 3 means wherever there is a x in that particular function, I'm going to put negative 3. And when I solve that, my answer is going to be 5. So my output, which is 5, my input is negative 3. My output, which is 5, is the range. My input is the domain. So let me help you now to define things very well. When I have a function, okay, when I have a function, a set of values for which that function is valid or is defined is called the domain. All the numbers, okay, all the values in which the function is defined is called the domain. Okay, now, when you get the domain, when you get any values from the domain and put them in that particular function, those values that you get and put there, they become your input. what you're gonna get will be the output, and that is your range. Okay? And that is your range. You've gone? Oh, so I just leave the keys there. Oh, okay, thank you. All right. Tomorrow we'll meet up. Okay. So, in other words, what we are saying, there are special names for sets of inputs and outputs. Okay? The set of inputs is called the domain, and the set of the outputs is called the image, which is the range. The set of outputs is called the range. Okay? What you get, like if I put this into that, I'm going to get 5. So 5 is part of the range. I hope I've made that clear. So the values, all the values in which a function is defined is the domain. The set of all the values in which a function is defined is the domain. Then when you put your inputs in that particular function, the output is the range or the mean. Okay. Okay. Now, let me just go a little bit deeper. I'll be careful today. I'm trying, this is 16 minutes already. Okay. So let me cruise to 25, you see, to 25 minutes. I think usually when the video becomes too long, it becomes bad because people don't have bundles and stuff like that. Okay. Okay, so let me just give a quick example. Okay. Let's say if we have f of x equals to 1 minus x, okay, squared. Okay. Then I pick values from the domain, such as starting from -1, 0, 1, 2, and 4. Okay? So, I want to use these as my input. I want to put into this equation. Okay? So there is -1, 0, there is 2, and there is 4. Okay? There is 2 and there is 4. I have these values, and I'm going to have my range. So this is the domain. The set of the inputs, I want to call the domain. The outputs is going to be the range. Okay? This is the output. This is the input. Okay? Yeah? Of course, I've just selected these because this function, when I look at this, it is defined for all real numbers, for all. Yeah? 1 minus x in the brackets, then squared outside. Whatever number I'm going to put there, I'm going to get something. Whether I put 1, it's going to give me 0. 0 squared is 2, 0. If I put 4, it's going to give me -3. -3 squared is 9. So whatever number I'm going to put there, the function still is defined. It exists. Okay, so in this case, I've just picked those to just show you what will be the range according to the domain that I've just written there. As an example, if I get -1, put it right there, it's going to give me 2. It's going to give me 2. Then I square the 2, it's going to give me 4. How did I get this? Maybe someone is wondering. Okay, it's f of x equals to x minus 1 squared. So I got -1. So where there is x, I put -1 minus, there is 1, then squared. 1 minus 1 is -2. -2 squared is equal to 4. Negative times negative, -2 times -2 is +4. So it's 4. Okay, if I put 0 here, it's going to give me 1. Okay? If I put 0 here, it's going to give me, if I put 2 there, it's still going to give me 1. So, in other words, -1 gives me that. Okay? 0 gives me that. If I put 2 there, that's -1 squared, it's going to give me that. If I put 4 there, -3, it's going to give me 9. Okay? So this is the domain, this is the range. Okay? So there is a function which equates this is this function, which links the domain to the range. there's a relation there. Okay. Okay. Let me just move on. I hope you've gotten the difference between the domain and the range. I've simply differentiated with you the domain and the range. The domain, the set of values in which a function is defined. All the values in which the function is defined. All real numbers there. All real. From negative infinity to positive infinity, that one is, this one is defined. I can't see where it is not defined. Unless maybe we got deep solving, but I can't see where it is not defined with this one. Okay, so let me proceed. I hope you've gotten the difference. My job was to show the difference between the domain and the range. All right, let me check in my minutes in 20 minutes. Okay, let me go to an example. I want to find the domain now. So today we also covered looking at how you find the domain. State the domain for the function of f of x, y, and z. Okay. Go on, state the domain for the function f of x equals to 1 over x. I want to state the domain for that. Now, if you look at that, whatever number you're going to put there, you're going to get an answer except for 1. Okay? Whatever number you're going to put there, you're going to get an answer except for 1. If I put 100 there, 1 divided by 100, there's still an answer. If I put negative 1 divided by 1, there's still an answer. Whatever number you put, except if you put 0. 1 divided by 0, if you punch that on your calculator, it's going to tell you mathematical error, meaning it is undefined. The function is undefined at that point. It does not exist at that point. Okay? So that tells you to say the domain doesn't have 0. Okay? 0 is not part of the domain for this function. Any other number, all real numbers except 0 is the domain. Okay? See that? All real numbers, okay, except 0 is the domain. Okay, so the answer for this is going to be all real values. Okay? All real values. All real values of x. Okay. Except x is not equal to 0. So this is the answer. Such that x is not equal to 0. X is not equal to 0. 0 is not part of the domain because at that point the function is undefined. So wherever you have a point where the function does not exist there, then that is not part of the domain. Okay? I hope that is clear. Then also let me just rush and give you another one as an example. Okay. Number 2. Okay? We say state the domain. State the domain for f of x equals to the root of x. Okay, if you look at this, if you put 0 there, you're going to get something, meaning the function is defined. If you put 1, you're going to get something. As you go to infinity, from 0 to positive infinity, meaning all the positive numbers, as much as you want, whatever number you're going to put in place of x there, you're still going to get the answer. Okay, I'm just looking to see whether it is clear there. I'm not sure, but after the video, that's when I'll be able to see. I'm not sure whether you are able to see this, but the function is f of x is equal to square root, inside the square root is x. Okay. So all positive numbers, including 0, all positive numbers are part of the domain. But if you put a negative number there, it becomes a problem. Can you find the square root of -1? No, you can't, sir. Can you find the square root of -2? No, you can't. It's undefined in mathematics. It's a problem. It's undefined. Your calculator is going to tell you mathematical error. So that means that is not part of the solution. All the negative numbers are not part of the domain, because for all negative numbers, the function does not exist. You see that? So, therefore, you have that. Okay? Your answer is going to be, you can say from 0x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay? X is greater than or equal to 0. Greater than or equal to 0. All the values greater than or equal to 0 is the solution for this. Greater than or equal to 0 is gonna be your solution. I hope that is clear. We are on 26 minutes. Okay, I should end on 30. I think I should end on 30, yes. 30. That would be okay if I end on 30 or 31. All right, I'm going to raise this. So the domain for square root of x, 0, and all positive numbers from 0 to positive infinity. You can present that answer like this again, like from 0, okay, from 0 all the way to positive infinity is the answer. Okay, all the way to positive infinity is part of the answer. So you can also look at different ways in which you can present that answer. The other one is the one that I had used, greater than or equal to. Okay. What if we look at what values of x, okay, I'm chasing time. What values of x must be excluded Okay, what values of x must be excluded from the domain of the function? From the domain of the function. Of the function, what is the function? Let me just put it down so that you can see f of x equals to x plus 1 over, so we're going to write something that is over now. So I want you to pay attention to this because this is one of those questions that confuse pupils. Okay? X squared plus x, something like that, and you begin to wonder, hey, what's going on? Really? Yeah, we're going to have to see that. Minus 2. So you have x squared plus x minus 2. Okay? So let's see here. So, in other words, whatever number is going to give you 0 at the bottom is going to make this function undefined. Whatever number that you put in this equation and give you 0 at the bottom, at that point, that number is not part of the domain. That is the number that you want to get away. You don't want to consider it as part of the domain. Once you do that, you're on the right track. That number which makes this equation to be 0 is not part of the domain. And that's what we are looking at today. Okay, all you have to do when a question comes like this is just to solve the quadratic equation at the bottom. The answers that you get, the values of x for the quadratic equation at the bottom, those are the values where if you put them here, they're going to give you 0. And they're not part of the domain. All other numbers apart from those numbers are part of the domain. Okay. So what are we going to do? Our focus is just here, x squared plus x minus 2. Okay? I do equals to 0. I want to find what numbers are there. Okay. But of course, even just by looking, I can get the numbers, but a teacher wants you to show him or her the procedure which you use to arrive at the answer. Okay. Yeah. So, what's the product? What's the sum? What are the factors? Okay, the product is negative 2. What's your sum? Your sum is 1. What will be your factors? When I multiply, I should get negative 2. Come on, what? And when I add, I should get, this has to do with 2, has to do with negative 1, 2. These will be the factors, negative 1, 2, because negative 1 times 2, I'm going to get negative 2. Negative 1 plus 2, I'm going to get 1. So the factors are 1, 2. Okay? So, x squared plus x. Okay, where there is x, let me just do it shortcut. I'm trying to preserve the space. I hope you are able to see at the bottom. Let me just make sure that you are able to see. Okay, and make them a little bit bigger. So x squared plus, where there is x there, I substitute, no, I'm going to make minus. Since here there is minus 1, so minus x. I don't put minus 1x. If you put 1, it's an insult in mathematics. You know that? Okay. Plus 2x minus 2 is equal to 0. I factorize this. What is common here? X. You remain with x minus 1. X into x is 1. Okay? Then outside there is plus 2. Okay? You're going to remain with x here, 2 into this, remain with x, minus 2 into 2, 1. So then, equals to 0. What you have is outside you have x plus 2, and inside the brackets you have x minus 1, equals to 0. Okay? So when you equate this to 0, you're going to get x equals to, if you solve this, according to how I just showed you in the previous solvings, you're going to get x, there is 1, and there is also negative 2. Okay, so 1 and negative 2, and this one crosses the equal sign becomes 1, this one crosses becomes negative 2. So if you put 1 in this equation, you're going to get 0, which makes this equation undefined. Try it. X 1 squared is 1 plus 1. That gives you 2. Minus 2 is going to give you 0. So therefore, at that point, it's not defined. Therefore, the domain is all real such that x is not equal to. So the answer, the final answer, let me just erase this since you know how to. In the book, if I go somewhere else, you won't be able to see. So let me use this. So the final answer, you're going to say your domain now. Domain is equal to all real values of x. Okay? Then, such that x is not equal to negative 2 and x not equal to 1. Yeah, x not equal to 1. Okay, so that's how we deal with that. If you want, you can put O1. You can say x is not equal to negative 2 or 1. So this is your domain, meaning your domain is all real values of x, meaning negative what, and what, they are part of the solution, except negative 2 and 1. Because if you put negative 2 in this equation at the bottom, it's going to give you 0. Once there is a 0 at the bottom, this equation becomes undefined. Any number cannot be divided by 0. If you try to divide any number by 0, it's going to tell you undefined. And wherever the function, at the place where the function is not defined, is not part of the solution for the domain. Okay? Meaning the function does not exist at that point. It means that value is not part of the domain. Thank you. I've differentiated between the domain and the range. And I've showed you how to find the range. And now later on, I'm gonna teach on how you can find the range for a particular function given. Okay? Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this is gonna help you, because I think this is there both for those guys who are doing ADMA and for those who are doing syllabus B. Enjoy mathematics. Next time, prepare. I'm gonna share on biology. You're gonna see me coming sharing in chemistry, and you're gonna see me coming sharing in physics. Hoping to help you. Enjoy your stay, guys. Thank you.